Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com, and you are viewing video number 1 of the Aran Sampler Mystery Throw. Today we are going to crochet the first square that we're going to use in our throw, and I'm just showing you that I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver in the color Carrot, just in case you wanted to follow along and do what I'm doing. You don't, however, have to have this particular yarn. You can do any worsted weight yarn of your choosing. I am going to recommend that you use crochet hook size J or 10, which is 6.00 millimeter. You're also going to need another hook later on, which is size I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our first square. The first square that I'm going to make, and I am going to make 4 of these for my entire project. This is called the 4-post cable. I'm going to start by using a slip knot, and I am using the larger crochet hook, and I'm going to crochet 46 chains. Now, so I don't lose count, I like to crochet in groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll reposition 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reposition again. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on. So that way when I stop, if I need to answer someone's question, I can just stop on a multiple of 5, and it's easier to remember than just a random number. Well, go ahead and finish this chain all the way to 46. Okay, starting in the 3rd chain from the hook, I am going to make a half double crochet. Now, if you've never done a half double crochet, I'll give you a real quick tutorial. You wrap the hook, you're going to stick it into one loop of the chain, pull up that loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So go ahead and do that all the way across. Now, I do want to say one thing about working in the chains. I prefer to work in one loop along the side of the chain here. If you prefer to use the back bump, feel free to do that, although I think it's going to be more difficult when we do our final round. If you crochet in the side, when we come back for our perimeter round using a contrasting color, we're going to go right into the same hole again, and the rest of the chain is going to be concealed. So if you're worried about the chain showing, have no fear, that will all take care of itself in time. Okay, so just go ahead and finish those half double crochets all the way across the row. After crocheting row 1, you should have a piece that looks like this. If by chance your foundation row is curling a lot, you may want to go back and rework that chain a little looser, or perhaps using a size larger crochet hook so that it will not be very tight. It's very important that you take time to do this now, because if this particular row is really tight, it's going to be a different size, and your squares will not be symmetrical. All right, so now we're going to go on to row 2. I'm going to chain 2, turn. I'm going to work half double crochets in the first stitch. This is not part of the cable yet. This is just to have a little bit of a border around the cables that we're going to be working. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to begin in the 3rd, and then we'll go to the 4th. We're going to work a front post treble crochet. I've already wrapped my hook twice, and don't be afraid of post stitches. They are actually easier. Instead of working in through the top loops, what we're going to do is we're going to go around the hook. Go around the stitch using the hook. It's almost like you're giving it a belt. And we're going to just complete the treble crochet the way we normally would. Let's do another one of those. We're going to go in the front door and come out the side, giving this a belt. We complete our treble crochet. Now we're going to work in front of the last 2 stitches we just made, and we're going to front post treble in these 2 stitches that we skipped. Make sure that you are starting on the 3rd stitch. It can be easy to get these stitches mixed up. Okay, so we're going to just give it a belt. Okay, and we're going to do one more of those. the other stitch that was skipped. So after we complete that first cable, we're going to repeat this across the row. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches. We're going to front post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches, again wrapping that hook around the body of the stitch, just like so. Working in front of the 2 stitches we just did, we're going to crochet front post trebles in the 2 skipped stitches, each one at a time. Okay, so go ahead and continue this all the way across the row. Skip 2, front post treble the next 2 stitches, working in front of the 2 stitches we just completed. You're going to front post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. And let's stop and take a look at this. Okay, so I've completed 3 crossing of the cables row, crossing of the cables here, and you're going to do this until you have 10 that look like this, and then I'll show you what to do in the last 2 stitches. Now that I've worked this all the way across the row, I do have 10 cables begun, and you should have 2 stitches left. We're just going to work half double crochets in each of those stitches. We're not working in the turning chain, so make sure that you don't do that. Okay, now we're going to chain 2, turn, and we're ready to work row number 3. Okay, and the rows 2 that we just worked and 3 are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat for this pattern. Okay, we're going to half double crochet in the first 2 stitches. Now this is where it gets easy. All along, we're going to just work back post double crochets. For a back post double crochet, you wrap the hook like you would in a double crochet, and I'm going to just wrap this, the hook around that post stitch, coming in from the back side, from the back door, basically. I'm tying it in the back, and then we complete that double crochet. This one might be a little trickier. Make sure you come around, wrap that hook around that 3rd stitch, and then complete your double crochet or back post treble. I'm sorry, back post double. Getting my terms mixed up. So for the 4th stitch, just bring the hook around and complete the double crochet. Don't underestimate how your left hand, or I should say your non-dominant hand, if you're left-handed, it would be your right hand. Your non-dominant hand plays in these stitches. In time, as you practice these, the feelers in your hand are going to actually help you to know where the stitches are to go. Even to the point, I dare say, that you could do these in the dark in time, because you're not as dependent on going through the top loops. Okay, we're just wrapping it around. So go ahead and do that all the way across the row. When I get to the end of the row, it ends just like row 2. We work half double crochets in each of those remaining stitches. Okay, let's take a look at what this should look like from the back side. And don't worry that this is actually curling forward, because that's going to change as we add other rows. So this is what we should have so far. Okay, now we're ready to start the next row, which is actually row 4, which is a repeat of row 2. So at this point, we're going to repeat rows 2, then 3, 2, then 3. We start with the chain 2, and then half double crochet in the first 2 stitches. After do that, we're going to do just like we did with row 2, skip 2, and we're going to front post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. Wrap that hook around that stitch, and then complete that treble. Now, working in front of these 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble crochet in the 2 stitches that we skipped. It should be easier to see these stitches, or to see where they go, as you see the cables unfold. Okay, so you see this cable starting to develop. We just do that again. Skip 2, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. And then working in front of these 2 stitches, go ahead and front post treble crochet in the 2 skipped stitches. So go ahead and do that all the way across the row. Just like as in row 2, we half double crochet in the last 2 stitches. Okay, for row 5, I'm going to go ahead and start you, but I think you're going to understand what to do now. If not, you can always go back in the earlier part of this video and find out. Okay, we're just repeating rows 2 and 3, which is chain 2. This is for row 5. Chain 2, half double crochet in the first 2 stitches. Now this is with, again, the back side facing, so this is with the wrong side facing. We just work back post double crochets all the way across. Not trebles, but double crochets is the shorter stitch, shorter than the treble. Okay, and so we're going to do that all the way, and then when we get to the end of the row, we are simply going to work our half double crochets in the remaining stitches. So go ahead and do this until you have approximately 10 of the cables in a column. Okay, now that I've completed 25 rows 1 through 25, I should still have 12 cables across, and there should be exactly 12 crossing of the cables. That would be a repeat of row 2 in this square. Okay, when you fold it in half or from corner, if you take corner to corner, you should have a triangle. It should be very square at this point. Okay, now I'm going to have you change to the smaller hook, the size I or 9, and we are going to work our perimeter round. We're going to do this by chaining 1, and with the front side facing, we're going to work single crochets all the way across to the corner. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Single crochet, that's working through both loops like you normally would in a crochet project. Work that all the way across to the first corner. After working all the way across, I have exactly 44 single crochets from the beginning of the perimeter round to the corner right here. Okay, I'm going to turn my work 90 degrees. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to work a single crochet in the same place as the last single crochet was worked. Now this will count as our first crochet in what we're about to do next. Okay, now we are going to work single crochets across the row ends of our square. And in order to do this, we're going to have to be a little careful that we do this evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you find the center, or at least this is one technique that I like to use. I'm going to find the center. So if we have 12 of these cables, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be the halfway point. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that spot with a little, I'm using actually my my needle here. You can use a stitch marker, whatever you want to use, and that's approximately halfway in the square. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to work in 22 stitches from here to the point here where the marker is, and then from here on I'm going to do the other 22 stitches. That way I don't have to rip out everything if it doesn't turn out to be 44 stitches total. So you're going to be working, again, to repeat myself, starting with this will be number 1 in the corner. We're going to go from this corner to the next corner, and we're going to work 44 stitches evenly along the row ends. So go ahead, and I'll go ahead and start this, but I'm going to let you go ahead and do that. If you need to rip it out because it doesn't come out even, that's okay. It may take a couple tries to get this right, but we do want them to be as evenly distributed as possible. Okay, so go ahead and try to work those all the way across. Okay, after working my 44 stitches as evenly as I can all the way across. Now if it doesn't look perfectly even, please don't worry about that, because the color is the same. It will blend in well, and we're actually going to come around later with a contrasting color that we're going to use to put the entire afghan or throw together, and that will look much more even when you come through the second row there, or second perimeter round. Okay, so now I'm going to turn 90 degrees again. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to single crochet in the same place where the last single crochet was worked. Now we don't want to add any stitches, so I'm going to have you skip the first stitch, because this stitch here is going to count as the first stitch of the row across here. So by skipping that first one, this is going to maintain our 44 stitch count. Just trust me on this. So you should have 44 stitches all the way across. Again, we added the one here in the same place as actually the turning chain, so that's why we're actually skipping that. So go ahead and working in what is left of that turning chain. If you have a hard time seeing, just look at where the stitch is, and it's the opposite that stitch. So just go ahead and work in those remaining loops of that foundation chain all the way across to the next corner. After working all the way across the foundation chain, go ahead and chain 2, turn 90 degrees, and now we're going to be working across another row, which I guess is the row ends, and we're going to do just like we did before. Put a single crochet after your chain 2, single crochet in the last place actually where you made the last single crochet of the last section, and go ahead and work 44 stitches. Remember, this is stitch number 1 as you count these. 44 stitches evenly across to the beginning of where we started this perimeter round. After working 44 stitches all the way across on this edge, we're going to chain 2 and join with a slip stitch in the very first single crochet of the round, like so. Okay, now we're ready to discontinue or fasten off. I'm going to go ahead and make a chain, give it a tug, and I'm going to cut a decent, 4 to 5 inches, so that I have enough thread or yarn rather, to thread into the yarn needle when we start to hide all these loose ends. So I am done with my first square. I'm going to go ahead and make 3 more of these, and then I'll be done with working this particular style of square, the 4-post cable. Okay, after we finish that round, I am going to go ahead and show you how to trim all your squares. I'm not going to show this on every style of square. You're going to know to do this, but I'm going to show you on the first square. So in case you have your contrasting color, now you can choose whatever color you want to do this, or if you're going to make your entire throw a solid color, you probably could even skip this part. But I'm going to go ahead and use this coffee color yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and join in the turning chain. I'm going to just put it right in, or the chain 2 corner, I should say, and I'm going to go ahead and join my yarn. And I'm going to go ahead and make a single crochet right there. And then this is in the corner, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a single crochet all the way across to the first corner. So if you want to go ahead and do that with me, go ahead and crochet in each single crochet, even the last single crochet across, which will be one of those corner single crochets. Go ahead and do that all the way across. It's kind of hard to see the contrast there. There you go. Okay, after working this contrasting color all the way across, I just wanted to show you what to do with the corners. We're going to single crochet in that chain 2 corner. We're going to chain 2 and then do another single crochet in that chain 2 corner. So I wanted to show you how your corners should look. All right, now I'm going to just work a single crochet and every single crochet all the way across. Now keep in mind that this one here, that is your first single crochet. It'd be real easy to just go over that, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to skip this. You want to keep the count the same. And let me speak about the count now. We were at 44 stitches across when we were using the orange, but now that we have added the contrasting color, we're going to add 1 for each corner. So we should have a total of 46 single crochets across. And this goes for every side of the square. It's very important that you maintain the stitch count, especially when you crochet these together. So go ahead and single crochet all the way around the square, working each corner just like so, and I will show you the final connect. After crocheting all the way around all 4 sides and in every stitch, go ahead and work your last single crochet in the same space as the chain 2 space where you first joined. Okay, I know this dark yarn is hard to see, but honestly you want it to be dark yarn, or at least I'm choosing for it to be dark yarn so that a lot of these seams won't be standing out too much. So after that, go ahead and slip stitch. After the chain 2, slip stitch in that first stitch of the round, the first single crochet. Give it a chain, give it a tug, and go ahead and cut a nice long yarn so that it will be easy to be hidden later using your yarn needle. Okay, so now I am officially done with this square. If you decide to, you can always delay doing the contrasting color, especially if you're using a lot of your own yarn stash and you just have no idea what color you want to trim it in. You know, you can always do that at a later date once you get all your squares together, and then, you know, look at the colors at the same time and decide that way. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. This is the end of the first square, and join me next week, same channel, and I will show you video number 2 on the second square of the Aran Sampler Mystery Throw. God bless. Bye-bye.